All righty. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining me on this wonderful hump day, Wednesday. We've made it to the middle of the week, and that's a good enough reason to have a show, right? So tonight, I am super excited to have my guest on this evening. I've been a follower of his for a while. I gotta tell everybody, I did become aware of this gentleman the first time whenever I saw him on, again, somebody that I love to mention on the show, Mr. Russ Johns. Russ was having an interview with this guy, and his energy and what he was talking about, and there, just everything about him was something that I loved about what humanity has to offer. So I became very aware of what he was doing and started following him on LinkedIn. So just seeing all the stories that he would put out there, and then all the things that he does as well. I just knew at some point I was going to have this guy on. And then what did it for me is I saw him have a conversation with one of my other favorite people who's been on the show twice, and that's Sherry St. Marie. And just seeing that interaction between those two, and just seeing him do what he does, right? Bring smiles to people's faces, and just go out there and showing people that there is a really, it's really a beautiful world that we live in. So, he is the founder and the director of the Smile Project in Louisville, but I think it's gone beyond just where he started at. And, one of the things that I love about him, he just loves to put smiles on people's faces. So, guys, do me a big favor and help me welcome to the show this evening's guest, Mr. Michael Ray.
What's up, brother? How you doing, baby?
I am doing wonderful now that you're here. So, one of the things that I wanted to kind of play for you and play for everybody else is about just explaining how impactful what you started and how it started, and it's made a really big impact on a lot of people. So just real quick, guys, I'm going to play this little clip. I put it down and try to condense it down pretty quick so it's not too long, but I wanted to play it for everybody just real quick. Here we go.
Nothing else seems clear. It's Maddie's face lighting up that provides clarity for her dad, Michael.
When I always needed to be uplifted, I always had one constant thing in my life, and that was her.
He wondered if Maddie's grin could do that for him. What could it do for others?
What can we do now to take how she has changed my life to impact the lives of strangers?
Smile Project Louisville started with a photo in a Wendy's drive-thru in the spring of 2018.
I said I would love to take a picture to remember us smiling together in this moment, to say, thank you to us.
Hey guys, look, dynamic duo here today.
Never knowing a moment would become a movement.
This little platform that I created, really just to create change in my life and within our community. And I often say we live in a very special community in Louisville, has resonated well beyond the city of Louisville.
Are you ready to go surprise Anita? Let's go.
Now he travels around the area with Maddie, spreading hope and happiness, something that costs nothing, but the payoff is huge. Smile after smile, story after story. At first taking pictures of strangers throughout the city, and now granting random acts of kindness.
People started nominating people and would be like, telling the story of why somebody needed a smile.
I'm going to socially distance these balloons.
That takes a little creativity these days.
We've used 10-foot poles, and I put giant plastic over me to hug it out with people.
Each one a chance to change someone's day, someone's life.
We're going through some crazy times, whether it's a pandemic and all the stuff recently, with race relations, is that if you lead with love and you find love in your heart, you have the ability then to go around and smile at complete strangers.
It's real, man.
He recently took his message to 28th and Broadway outside the looted, boarded up Kroger, an act of kindness that tripled right in front of his eyes.
It happened to be James, and it's an amazing moment.
We have $100 for you to go into Kroger's and shop.
It's that kind of moment he hopes to continue spreading with Maddie by his side.
I tell people we smile because life is hard, not easy.
Dad and daughter using a special smile to spread a message. No words necessary.
Be the reason someone smiles today, and I say, hey, give him a kiss, blow him a kiss.
How wonderful a story is that, and how you're actually out there, making a difference in complete strangers' lives sometimes, and bringing a smile. So, the story's kind of placed it out there about how you started. But what is some of the great things that you've learned along this journey in helping other people realize how beautiful life is? I mean, bring a smile to somebody's face.
It does truly start with what I shared in that news story, and that is, what makes it so simple is if you find love in your heart, we then as human beings take out all these preconceived notions and really how we look at people. So it does on some level make my job easy. Now that doesn't diminish depending on who we're doing. And of course, as you heard, people get nominated and sometimes those circumstances are hard. I think where my job started to get a little bit more challenging is that when the pandemic hit, I'm a touchy-feely dude. And a lot of times when I'm doing these, I mean, I'm like up on people, man. And I'm like got my arm draped around them. I mean, I'm inside someone's comfort zone. So I think, very early on through COVID, and when I say early on, I'm going probably the first 3+ months. Yeah. I mean, we did a really, really good job of staying away from people. And then we just made a decision that we were going to start doing things outside to be safe and then allow it to go. In that if the human emotion and the love they felt in that moment meant they needed a hug, then I was like, bring it in, baby. So I wasn't going to intentionally hug somebody. But again, it's all about the feels. People feel it. It's hard not to feel that love. And man, when you're feeling it, it sometimes needs to be through, an embrace. And
yes.
So we try as safely as we can to hug it out, maybe not breathe on each other, and but yet it does just go back to that simple philosophy in life, and that is, love fixes a lot of problems, man.
It does, man, and I love it you say that, because again, I took a 6-week hiatus myself, and I started down my journey of rediscovering and watching and seeing what love offers to us as people, just in every way, shape, and form. And I understand how you say that you want to feel the kinetic part of what love is, and embrace the warmth, just feeling like we're just two people sharing this environment, this world right now, right in this moment. So I love that. I love that it's been difficult, because I'm like you. I love to shake hands. I love to do the whole "how are you doing?" the half hug, whatever you want to call it, right? And it was hard to take that step back at the very beginning of COVID-19. Go, oh, man, this sucks, right? But we still work through it. So,
and you know what? You saw some of it on there, because early on I was like, well, hell far. I'm going to get a 10-foot pole. I'm like, this lady's 86, baby. And I was like, well, you say you ain't going to touch it with a 10-foot pole. So I could give balloons from there. And then we went and did this priest. And I'm like, I know this dude's a hugger. So I went to Home Depot and got this giant drop cloth. And I was like, I know he's going to want to hug it out. And I was like, I felt like I put this giant condom on me. But I asked him, I was like, are you okay with a hug if I put plastic on? He's like, yes. So I put the plastic on him, man. We hugged it out.
Man, that is, and again, it's such a refreshing thing to see. Because again, I talked about this last night on my show. I did a solo show last night. One of the things I talked about was in literally in 30 seconds, I was just walking by my wife watching the news. And in those 30 seconds, the teaser that they gave about everything that they were going to talk about in the show, none of it. I mean, not
it's
one
exhausting.
was positive. I just looked at her and said, huh, I said, nothing good came out of that 30 seconds. She goes, nope. And I said, exactly. That's why I don't watch it. I love to fill my feed and my time with people like you and things that help me realize that we still live in heaven on earth. We live in a beautiful world. We just actually have to open our eyes to it and realize how we can actually change it as people and go, you know what?
Yeah.
Love is a beautiful way to start. Love is one of the best ways to start. So, let me ask you this. So, what are some of the things that you have that you see coming within the next couple of months that you might do that will start spreading that love again? Because again, people need it now more than ever. It's been very, very hard times that a lot of people have gone through. So, what are some of the things that you're working on in this moment to try to spread that love again? Because I love that. I love it.
Well, I mean, first and foremost, we're going to continue doing what we do. I can't even take credit for this, but I met with somebody a couple of months ago, but it is a brilliant little short phrase. And she said, we're an organization that serves locally, but we share it globally. And fundamentally, that's really what I do and I've always looked at what I have done. When you see that news piece and you talk about that moment when I go through a Wendy's drive-through, and I've often told people, when we smile with strangers and do things, we never know what someone else is going through in life. And that's the importance of sharing love through a smile. So what I try to do is really recreate that moment through the beauty of video, so somebody within a couple of minutes can just experience and feel the same emotions, with it. So where we want to go is where we really wanted to go, several months ago. Again, never thinking that this would become much bigger than me.
Yeah.
And it has. But, a lot of times when you get involved and you do it, you got to put the time, the work, it's all of that commitment, focus, all those things that go into it. But you do it because you're passionate about it. You love people. You're spreading the message. And then all of a sudden, I guess you blink and you're 18 months later. And then it's like, wow, look at what it's in. But then and for the first time, I did a radio interview in early February. And I got asked the question. I can't remember specifically, but I do remember my answer. I did understand the power of one. And really knowing, multiplicity and that ripple effect and how it does spread, as long as that one person is willing to make that commitment. So, we're going to continue to do what we do here locally and share it with the world. But I do want to take this, outside of Louisville. I did it a little bit over the summer. And again, it comes off the beauty of LinkedIn and the relationships you can build with so many amazing people on that platform that I went to Cincinnati. I went down to Nashville. Again, relationships I built through LinkedIn, and they took me around the city, and we were able to go and make some people smile who are going through the shit show of life. Lady battling cancer, another one who had lost a child, somebody who was coming off the heels of a few months before a tornado in Nashville. So,
yeah.
And that's a lot of what happens. So when you see that, that's what I do envision. And a lot of it, I guess, is just trying to do it safely too. And it's different everywhere. And I guess a lot of it's just perception.
Mm-hmm.
That when you run a platform where you're really all about smiling and love and doing random acts of kindness, I'm not here to upset anybody either along the way. So, but yet I do have this vision, and I have it honestly almost daily. And I'm like, all right, I just need to get in my car and grind it out somehow and just pick a number of cities.
Mm-hmm.
And because I'm connected with such an amazing community all over the country, So if I know I'm going to roll to St. Louis, I know I'm going to hook up with my boy, Steve Peters. If I'm going back to Cincinnati, I know I got Susan Tucker and Bill Weber. If I know I'm going to Pittsburgh, I got Bill Brandt, all these people, or Kansas City is Dr. Charlie Cartwright. I got these people everywhere. Or I go to Miami, I got Enrique, and I often tell people the beauty of what I do, and the analogy I always go to is, I know you're a Cowboys fan, my man. So I could sit here and tell you we could watch the Cowboys game. But watching it on your couch versus watching it, sitting on the 50-yard line, it's the same result. But the feeling of actually being there is a much different ride. So you're watching the same thing. So I've often said, and I do know when I've gone to some of these places and people who have followed me and seen it, they have felt what I feel, in the moment when I'm totally, I don't know how many we've done now, probably easy 100, 150 of them. No one's ever known we're coming. It's an absolutely, I say, we're flying under the radar. We're going stealth. You don't know, so that brings out the human emotion when an absolute total stranger is going to do it. So when you ask that question, that's what I hope, because I want to see Dave English in Philly. I want to see Michael Skiba in New York City. I want to see Rob Poland and Dees Bonanza in Jersey. These people all over the country that I want to take them on a ride and touch people within their community.
Yes, that's so amazing, right? So that's the hard part, I guess, about that journey is you can't multiply yourself, because if there'd be 10 Michael Rays in this world, it'd be
no. And I had a dude that again I built a relationship with. His name is Matthew Wells. He does some really good content on LinkedIn, and he commented recently. He's like, what you do is just so simple, yet no one really else is doing it or can do it. And I think a lot of that just has to do with the relationship and story with my daughter. Some of it's my personality. And then again, making the choice to want to do the work. And a lot of times, I'm doing the work in which I ain't making a whole lot of money doing it. But, so a lot of people won't do it,
Yeah.
But yet I have to give props to a lot of people in that, look, there's so many people who have been inspired and impacted by what I have done that they quietly do it in their own communities. And again, 99% of the time it's not videoed. That's the beauty of sometimes the message that's resonating in what people watch and how their hearts are touched and what they're doing. And I've had people DM me, send me emails, send me videos of things they've done in their community based upon what I'm doing. And that, man, that is humbling. That's amazing.
It is, man. And that's, again, the power of networking and going out there and finding people like yourself out there in the world who are willing to do that, right? I would say that at some point we can't duplicate microwave, but maybe we find enough people who, I find ambassadors who help represent what we are and what we share, because again, it's such a beautiful message. I mean, and like you said, it's so simplistic in its nature, yet it's so impactful in what it does and how it can help essentially change somebody's life. And this is what I talk about all the time whenever I come on here. It's just making that one simple impact on somebody's life, right? Touching that one person that really in that moment needs to feel it, hear it, see it. And I got to commend you for what you've done to this point so far.
And let me tell you what, man, when you played that intro, what's funny is I got my girlfriend sitting about 12 feet from me, and I'm ridiculously emotional. I'm about as sappy as they come, and I'm never afraid to watch what I do.
Yeah.
But yet, when I saw that news story, and I've already seen sitting in front of Kroger's and what we did for James 10 times. But as I saw it again, I started to cry again, because it brings me back to that moment in which what people don't see in just that small snippet is how he reacted after that, and how he was breaking down and couldn't understand how we were doing what we were doing.
Right.
You know, and showing them love. So it's
Man, and just to say that even even though you can't see in the moment, just to look in his eyes, the moment that you say what you're giving to him, right? That's, to me, what I mean when I say that impact goes just beyond that. That's something that he will never forget, however long James is on this earth. Is that the one time I went there and somebody was kind enough to say, you know what, this world is worth living. And again, it can change the aspect of what someone sees, hears, and believes, man. And I tell people every day, take the opportunity to go out there and make impact. And this is how simple it really is. In the most simplest terms, it's going out, finding a stranger, and changing their life.
And you know what? You're absolutely right. And I try to tell people, and I really want to make it resonate when I have these opportunities, is like, look, we hand people $50 and $100 gift cards. But again, the reality of what people do in life, and where it really changed my life, was just a drive-through at Wendy's. There was no money, but it was the contagious smile and laughter of a stranger where we connected to make me feel good. And that's what I try to tell people, is when you go about your daily lives and you're running everywhere, whether it's the grocery store or the coffee house and all this shit we do, we don't understand what people are going through in life.
Yes,
You know?
it is, man. And again, you know, so and just one of the things I wanted to ask you is what would you say has been the if there's been one, a singular moment that you've felt that you've like, this is everything to me? Is there one person's life that you just felt like this is the most important thing in this world, in this moment, anywhere else in the world, is right now being with this person and changing their life? Has there been a one moment that's just been that you can always remember and go, wow, I can't believe I got to live that?
There's too many. And I don't think it would be fair. You know, look, some have been harder. You know, when someone reaches out to you and tells you a 28-year-old school teacher is battling stage 3 colon cancer, but yet still shows up to work every day and maintains this amazingly positive attitude because of these 9 and 10-year-old kids in her classroom, that's not easy to go do to make her smile. I mean, she's fighting for her life. Or when you're going to try to make a mother smile that lost a kid 3 months before and can't stop crying every day.
Yeah.
You know, or yet the dude or I won't forget Nettie, man. Nettie was before COVID, and I rolled up in a Circle K, and she's working 2 jobs. Her mom had just had a heart attack, and she's just grinding through life, you know, and who reached out to me was just a customer who worked around the corner who said, I go in there all the time. And because we started talking, because I'm in there almost every day buying something, she's like, life is so hard for that girl, yet she makes me smile every time I'm in there buying a pack of smokes or buying a big gulp, you know, and that's the beauty. And, you know, going back to the teacher with cancer, it was last fall, and it was really one of the first times it hit me. And when I go into these things, I never know what I'm going to say, but I usually have about a 15-second pause of a really quick prayer for the right words to come out of my mouth. And I say that because I get one take in the moment with a complete stranger to make them feel loved and amazing. So I say that, but going back to that teacher, I uttered the words, we smile and make others smile because life is hard. It's not easy. And we commend and love you for your attitude, even though you're fighting for your life. So yeah. So what do you tell people? So, for me, the one thing that I get asked most often anymore when I do these is, and I have to admit, I've done so many of these now, I have forgot some people's names and places, but there's some that I never forget. And I guess God doesn't want me to. So obviously, Sean Trill at the Wendy's drive-thru, I'll never forget. And I get asked a lot, well, what the hell did she say to you? I have no clue. No clue. 2.5 years ago, I can't remember. But I go back probably about 18 months ago. And of course, as we try to motivate and inspire ourselves, I've read so many things from Maya Angelou. But really what resonates the most, and it encapsulates everything that I do. And it goes back to the Wendy's drive-thru, and that is Maya said, people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did. People won't forget how you made them feel.
Yes.
And that's what I say. I said, still to this day, I remember how Sean Trill made me feel. I mean, I felt so alive. I laughed, and then I cried afterwards. So I remember all of that. So the words in that moment didn't mean shit, man. It's how she made me feel, to where I felt touched by God to want to go do something about all of this. So and that's what I keep saying. It does come down to, it's about how I make people feel.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's incredible. For me, one of the things that I've kind of been a advocate myself is kind of just wanting to be able to do something very similar to you as far as reaching out and touching folks in a way that will help them find that there's really true joy in life, right? It's something that I really work hard on whenever I connect with somebody, whenever I have a conversation, anything, because that's the whole purpose at the end of my day, is to make an impact on somebody's life. And even sometimes, like you said, it's hard. You do so many, you forget some of the names, but you'll never forget the moment. You'll never forget what it meant. And that's what's really important to not only yourself, but to anybody who gets involved in these things, right? So let me ask you about one more thing before we go a little bit further.
Yeah.
How is it how's it impacted? Have you seen it kind of like maybe impact the way that, I don't know if you've been doing it with her since COVID, but the way that Maddie reacts to people whenever they smile and they come in there and you see them,
Maddie has no clue.
Oh, does.
And I say that, and again, they see with Maddie. So I do want to clarify. So hold on a second. I got a text. So Bill, Dave English goes, "What's in your glass, man?" So in Kentucky tonight, I just cracked some Weller.
There you go.
But I guess what I have learned, look, I already knew these things, but I guess it was just really reinforced.
Yeah.
So Maddie, people, it's not hard to look at her and go, she's not perfect, because they see the outward sign of having Down syndrome. And then when people try to communicate with her, because she's just this very gentle, loving, smiling soul, and then she doesn't talk, people are really, they don't know what to do or say.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, she is probably the closest thing to perfect I've ever known. And that's for a multitude of reasons. So first of all, COVID's going on.
Mm-hmm.
She don't know it. She don't know what the hell the impact is. So therefore then, where a lot of people, because of COVID, who may go, well, holy shit, I got to stay at home. I got to wear masks. She doesn't live truly with any fear, anxiety, stress. None of that stuff gets her amped up. She ain't worried about an election, you know. So, you know, she doesn't, when she looks at people, she has no preconceived notions. And that's the beauty of her heart. And then I carry that on and tell people, you know, it's as if she wakes up and she lives in a constant state of joy and happiness. Because
I love that.
Happiness a lot of times is right there at our fingertips in the simplicity of life, with the relationships that we have in our lives, you know, and the memories we're making with friends and family and all that. That's where happiness is. It's not in chasing, you know, the next greatest car. So for her, and I mean this, you know, I take a snapshot back, and I've said it in moments. And the funny thing, when you have a nonverbal daughter, I privately tell her things and I joke around because I know she can't repeat that shit. So I'll like whisper in her ear, and I'm like, don't tell your sisters and brother that I love you the most. You know, and she comprehends, but she doesn't comprehend like you and I. You know, she comprehends very simple things, you know, so that those are some moments, you know, that we have. But yet, with all of this going on, it doesn't matter, because she'll wake up tomorrow and she'll love the fact that dad made her breakfast and turned her iPad on, or put some yoga on the TV. Or I say, hey, do you want to go to the store? Yes. And then she takes delight in, I get to push the basket around the grocery store, and I get to help dad put the shit in the basket. I love doing that. You know, where you ask your 14, really? I want to go downstairs and game. You know, so life for her, because it's so simple, just amazing delight. And look, I don't force Christianity on anybody, but I am a Christian, and I will tell you, she's probably the closest thing I've ever seen or felt to Christ. And I say that in the respects of, I don't know if she's ever consciously sinned. And really, so if anyone's listening who is, what separates us more from a relationship with God is when we actually consciously sin. So when you don't ever, in the eyes of God, and you're all about love.
Right, man. And so that's such a beautiful way to look at it, right? Because we know as Christians, and I am too, we understand the weakness of our flesh.
Yeah.
One of the hardest things for us to accept as humans is that we are, in that sense, weak, and that she doesn't comprehend that. She doesn't see that. That is an amazing way. Again,
I mean, and think about this. You and I, we see color.
we do.
My kid never sees color. She doesn't process it that way. So when somebody comes up and wants to give her a knock or smile or hug, it's like, bring it in. You know, you look at it, and I think that's what truly what life is all about and how we're intended to live.
Wow. Right? So you're literally learning more examples from her about life than you are about anything. And that's, wow.
And I have quietly told her, because I think on some level, you know, when I came from some dark places and just trying to process as a middle-aged man, failure and all of that kind of stuff, she saved my life. She gave me purpose in wanting to live, and just create something that on some level is all because of her. And honestly, I don't think she comprehends it.
Maybe she doesn't have to. That's the beauty.
And you know what? And that's okay. That's okay.
That's the beauty of it.
Because you know what? I tell her at times too, and laugh about it. I'm like, you know what? When we finally die and get an opportunity, if we're good enough to go to heaven, you're not going to shut up. You're going to talk.
Yes,
you're probably going to have some high ass seat up there that your ass is not going to shut up, man.
that, man. Now you cannot love not having a not. How can you not love a guy that has that sort of life and that perspective? That's what it all comes down to. Is how as humans see perspective and everything, and how we do everything.
It is, and let me tell you something. I had a moment a couple of weeks ago where we took about 5 hours out of our day and we went to feed and clothe 2 different segments of the homeless population. And I was down there about the first hour and I literally had to walk away and cry. And after I started crying, because I'm not afraid to share my emotions with people on camera, I immediately started filming for my community on LinkedIn because what I wanted to share with them is that I had never seen a segment of the population be so grateful for literally a meal, a shirt, a jacket, a pair of shoes, no matter what we had. And again, even they took it a step further sometimes when they wouldn't take excess because they were worried about somebody else who may need it. And as I sat there with some of our kids doing this, I'm like, I have never been around some more grateful human beings that are sleeping on our streets and are so thankful that we just took time to break bread with them and maybe give them something to wear. So I looked at that as just that simple act of understanding and appreciating where they were in life. And that even though they were on the streets, it was okay in some sense. But thank you so much for taking time out of your day to share your life with us in this moment.
And I've done this with my own kids, and I do this with others who I try to just talk to. That is one of the best feelings, to know that you can help somebody just by taking them something to eat and some clothes. I mean, there's the Oster Sheet Shelter here in Dallas where we go.
Yeah.
In the Dallas Life Foundation as well, where we go. I make sure we take all our kids' clothes, anything that we have, jackets that we've collected. We do a couple of food drives here at my uncle's store, where when we go down there, and it's that simple. It's just really doing it and seeing.
And Dave, you know what? It would have been rewarding enough if they didn't even say thank you. But the fact that we felt that from them, and they were so vocal and honestly sincere, I was like, my God, it doesn't get any more real than this, man. It doesn't get any more real than this. Hey, let me tell you a really quick story, because I just saw my brother Tim Loger hop in. So this is the power of LinkedIn and building a community. So I guess some time ago I connected with Tim, and Tim watched what I did. And Tim lives in Corpus Christi, Texas. And I'm having a hard time sharing this. So he calls me. It was probably maybe sometime in August at this point, and said, man, I'm in your neck of the woods. I'm like, what the hell are you doing in Louisville? I had never talked to the guy, never met him. You know, people sometimes randomly call me on the phone. He said, my son Zeke had moved to Louisville, but he was in a really bad car accident. And boy, I've been watching your stuff for months. So we met and we connected and did a video. And then through talking, not only had he watched me for months, come to learn he grew up like 10 minutes from me in Cleveland, Ohio. And this is often what I say, and I think I told him in the moment, I was like, man, you can't make this shit up. I mean, there ain't no way that God doesn't have a purpose for this. So we start to build this amazing, deep relationship because of his son, Zeke, who's on life support. And through the power of LinkedIn and the community and so many amazing people I've built relationships with, we shared multiple videos about Tim and Zeke. And look, we were looking for a miracle, and unfortunately we didn't get one. About 10 days ago, at 29 years old, his son passed away.
Oof.
But yet, as I try to then still process and look at the good from it, our miracle's coming. It may not been in saving Zeke's life, but I like to still hold on to that, again, God has a plan, and something amazing will come from Zeke's legacy and life. So when I saw him chime in, Tim's an amazing man, a loving father. He doesn't have awesome hair, man. He's bald. He's bald like my backside. And I keep telling him, I said, man, I'm gonna oil your head up and rub it down and make a wish.
Wow. Such an incredible, wow.
But to meet over those circumstances, and I guess a lot of times too, just trust in the beauty of the people that I'm connected with. And you know what? Let me just share really quick a side story to that, being he's watching, and it's part of what we do. So when he shared this with me, and I said, look, we're going to get together. I'm going to bring Maddie. We're going to do a video. We're going to appeal to anybody who wants to pray for your son and for your family for strength in going through this process. So we go down to the Ohio River in Louisville, and we decided to shoot this video, but I didn't have anybody to film it. So I said, oh my God, I got, look, I'm all about stepping outside of comfort zone. So as I was walking to try to find somebody, I saw this dude on this bench that looked to be in his mid-60s. And I walked up to him. I said, sir, can I ask you for a favor? And he was like, well, I don't know. Not really. I mean, depends on what it is. And I said, I promise, I ain't trying to sell you anything. I'm like, look, man, I'm not trying to sell you anything here. So he goes, I said, look, it ain't going to take more than 2 or 3 minutes. He goes, well, I guess. So he stands up, and then I go to introduce myself. And I said, so what's your name? And he goes, does it really matter? And I was like, and of course, Tim and I are looking at each other going, oh, for the love of God, who did I get to video this? So we walk about 100 feet to the river. We shoot the video. And of course, in the video, I'm talking all about Zeke and his accident and appealing to all of my people on LinkedIn to pray for Zeke and his family and all of this. So we get done with the video. So Maddie, Tim, and I walk about 100 yards to the parking lot, and we're sitting, and the guy walks off. So as we're sitting in the parking lot, I see in the corner of my eye this guy walking towards us. And at first I'm thinking, oh, well, hell, the parking lot, he's leaving, whatever. And then all of a sudden, he approaches me. And of course, you're trying to process through your mind going, we just had this awful, interaction. But he comes up to me and he says, I just sat over there trying to process everything. And it's as if God spoke to me and said I was wrong. And I just want to come over and apologize for my behavior. I'm so sorry.
Isn't that?
It was as if he realized on some level he was kind of a jackass, but yet then he sat there and processed what he filmed in that 3 minutes when we were making this greater appeal, and he sees this stranger and learning that this stranger has got a son on life support near death, but God touched his heart enough to come over and say, man, I'm sorry.
Wow.
And I was like, man, it's all good, baby. I said, look, we appreciate it. And we were thankful. And we talked with them, for a little bit. But again, it's just the power of sometimes how these things touch people. And these are stories in which, honestly, Gabe, no one really knows. I mean, just a handful of people that sometimes things that go on behind the scenes that are touching people's hearts. I mean,
right. But but that's the beauty of it, right? You don't have to have a camera there.
So I want to tell you one more story, because I do think at times these are God moments.
Yes, they are.
All right. So we went and celebrated my birthday in the middle of August down at a Cuban restaurant that had just opened up. And as I walked out of there that night, of course, I'm in heaven, man. I'm with my family. I'm with the woman I love. I just had a phenomenal meal. And hell, I don't know, I'm a smile guy, so I like to think all the times I'm just bouncing off the walls. But I walk out, and this cat looked at me, and he just started smiling. I knew he had a sign. So immediately I'm like, all right, dude's probably homeless, probably looking. And he looked at me, he's like, what's up? I was like, what's up, man? And he smiled and laughed. And then immediately I just felt pulled into him. So I turned to my girl, Molly, and I said, start filming. So I went and sat down next to him, and I learned he was homeless. So during the conversation, and one of the things a lot of times I like to ask people is tell me something amazing about you, because I like to get them talking at some point about and telling the world, I guess it's self-love, that we're all amazing in our own right. So I asked them, here in Nate lives on the streets, and I said, Nate, tell me something amazing about you. He paused for about 2 seconds. He looked at me and he said, I just love people. And I was blown away. And I'm like, here's this guy living on the streets, just so soft-spoken, but yet it's like he doesn't harbor any grudges, any hate against life. I love people. So I end up giving him 20. I just felt so we do that night. Of course, I share the video to LinkedIn. People are blown away by the video. So this is the power of what I do. So a dude who follows me over in England loved the story. He goes, what are the odds of if I sent you some money, you can go give it to Nate? So I'm like,
what?
So my first thing was, how in the hell am I going to find a homeless dude? I'm like,
wow.
I'm like, Louisville is a big enough city. So I was like, look, let me see what I can do. I said, you don't send me anything right now. Let me see what I can do. So we, a few weeks go by. And again, this is how God works. We're at our neighborhood pool. And I meet some people for the first time. And turns out they were the owners of the Cuban restaurant. And they saw my video on Facebook with Nate. So they started talking about Nate. And they said, you know what? Nate's the only homeless dude we don't run off, because he's just not disruptive. He's not drunk. All of those things, that the stereotypes of homeless people. So we let him stay there. And they're like, he's there every night. And I'm like, oh my God. So I immediately hook back up with my dude. So I have a guy then in London, Western Union me $100. So then I said, all right, we're going back down to the Cuban restaurant for dinner. So we go back down to dinner. When we first walk in, like 7 o'clock, he wasn't there. It's like, all right, we'll go eat dinner, we'll figure it out. So we're getting ready to pay. And I decided to stick my head outside real quick. And I lost my mind because I saw him sitting outside. So, I mean, it's almost as if it's that moment in which it's like you're 6 years old. It's Christmas, and you walk downstairs and go, are all those presents for me? That's the feeling that I had. So wait for it. So then we go back into the restaurant. We pay. 10 minutes later, come outside. Nate's gone. I'm losing my mind. I'm losing my mind at this point. I was like, where the hell did he go, man? I got a hundo for him. So my girl and my kids calm me down, and they're like, look, let's walk a couple of blocks down. Let's see. He couldn't have gone far. So we walk down like 2 blocks. We walk a block back, and there he was. And I walk up to him, and he sees me. And his face lights up. And I said, and he goes, my dude. So we do it again. I give him $100. Of course, he can't understand how somebody in England would have just fallen in love with him. So we do it. So then there's two more parts of the story. So this is downtown. So the very next day, about 20 miles in the eastern part of the city, my 23-year-old daughter is walking into Target. Okay. And she FaceTimes me and goes, oh my God, Dad, I see Nate. And she goes, what should I do? I said, walk up to his ass, man. So she walks up to him, turns the phone around. He sees me and he's like, man, you're everywhere.
I can't.
But so hold on. So the last part of the story is when, and I didn't know if we would, but when we went down, I'm taking you back, when we went down to volunteer to do things for the homeless, Nate was there.
Wow.
You know, Nate was there. And again, it was another connection. And he said, I want to thank you for the $100 because I went and bought some clothes and a watch and I had a job interview and I can't thank you enough, you know, for what you did for me. And again, it's the power of people watching what we do to open their hearts to want to touch the live, again, thousands of miles away. But people now, and you saw this tonight, because I see people commenting. They know Nate now. There's a story. And part of what I want to do, you know, Tim Logar, in memory of Zeke, instead of flowers, he wanted people to donate to my organization. And I said, you know what? We're going to find some way to blow something out of the water for Nate in the memory of Zeke. You know, that, you know, and I've often said this, is that, you know, look, a lot of times I give people 50 and $100, and yes, that makes them feel great and all that, but there are moments in life where $100 doesn't get it done, you know. And when I have to go make a mom smile who lost a 14-year-old and has 6 other kids and they can't afford a tombstone, you know what, maybe to make her smile, we have to do more, you know. So that's my entire Nate story. And you can't tell me, as that is weaved, that that's not God at work through the lives of so many people.
Man, that is amazing. So, guys, I'm going to just pull it up real quick. I've put it in the comments. You can go there if you want to check out his website. You would like to donate. You would like to do something. You feel inspired tonight to want to go make a difference. Please, I mean, check out Michael. Check out what he does. Got one more question for you, Michael. This is the golden question I've asked every guest that ever comes on my show. So it's pretty simple, and I think you'll have a good answer. My question is, so when the book is said and done on Michael Ray, what kind of legacy do you want to leave behind, and what do you want to be remembered for?
So I rewind, and I can vividly remember when my life was defined by other things. And I'm going back to a time in which 2004, 2005, I was chasing success through things. And I guess then, as a man who was in his mid-30s, was probably the first time in my life where I really started thinking of that term legacy. And when you think of legacy, I thought of it in terms of, hell, if I went to the grocery and I got hit by a car and was killed, how would people remember me? You know, and I guess back then, I think people would have said really good things, but yet maybe my memory would have faded. So as you go through life, and as a Christian, so not the whole world knows about this, but, you know, I lost a son in 2006. And I guess I started looking at life as I have 2 family members that pretty much have punched their tickets to heaven. That's my son, who died at 3 months old, and my daughter, Maddie. So then you start looking at life differently. And when you think in terms of legacy and what you're leaving behind for people, and look, as a Christian, I mean, hell, we all want to go to live in that place for eternity. So with that being said, I think what I would leave with people now is, you know, I said before, maybe my memory would have faded 15 years ago, in which, I don't know. I mean, if I died tomorrow, brother, and you saw a smile 10 years from now, you might go, holy shit, we miss Michael Ray. We miss that smile guy. You know, I think then your legacy and your memory is much different. And I would hope, you know, that I've inspired and touched lives to create the change they want to see.
Yes. And I love, you know, and I tell people this all the time. There's no right or wrong answer when you say these things. It's all about just about how much you want to, you know, be behind for this world. I mean, and I think my legacy is being built myself by doing these videos, right? I might not be here tomorrow. I might not be wherever, but you know what? If people would want to go remember me, they can always go watch these. They can always see how much I tried to put into this world, how much I tried to change it, how much I tried to impact. And that's what we do, right? That's what we do. That's all we can do is just as humans, as brothers, as people who love getting up every day and live passionately. So, man, I love this. This was a great interview. I had chills too. Who said that earlier? Somebody said they had chills. I got chills. There it goes. So, man, he said, I got chills with Michael's story. Actually, I think there was 2 people tonight that said they had chills, which I love. There it goes, right there. Karen said she had chills. I had chills, so that was 3 of us, guys. Really great stuff. So, Michael, thank you so much for taking the time and coming on this evening. I do appreciate you. Everybody else has been a part of this one as well. Guys, again, please, if you have the opportunity, I implore you to please go check out the website. Go check out what Michael does. And you know what? Start your own. I mean, go out there and start changing the world. You don't got to film it. Go out there and start doing it. Just
Amen.
go out there and make somebody's life a little bit better tomorrow. This world will be a better place. We all get the opportunity.
And let me say 2 things in closing. So first of all, my man, thank you, because I often say this is a 2-way street. So thank you for inviting me into your world. I sincerely appreciate that. And there's so many people's names that I saw pop up that, look, they took time out of their Wednesday night to hop in. And that is love. That right there is love. So thank you to so many wonderful people's names that I truly mean this. When they come in and they comment on what I do, I always say, thanks for stopping by, baby. I love seeing those names. So thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. So everybody who's been a part of this one, you guys are what we do here. You are the lifeblood of why I continually do this every day. And again, it's why I love to go find people like Michael out in the world, bring them here, showcase them, share it, because it is a beautiful world that we live in. So thank you so much, guys. Thank you, Michael. Sit tight for 1 second. Everybody else, I will be back here tomorrow evening, 7:00 Central, 7:30 Central Standard Time. And just want to say, stay blessed, stay safe, guys. We'll get through this together. I'll talk to you again tomorrow night. Goodbye, everybody. All right.